Oh, I just remember before we start. I remember you talking about you want like something like this for Florida State. They do make it. I looked it up.
Who?
It well, I don't know if the company still exists. I searched it on eBay. They're like $20.
Oh, the Pillow Pets?
Yeah, the Pillow Pets.
Okay, I'll go look.
Yeah, it's not like a full. It has like a full day state similar on the back, and I think it's just a bear or something.
For
The
Florida.
Pillow Pet. Yeah,
Oh, why is it like
because you can't really make it Indian.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to our podcast, The Game Plan. How was your weekend, Chris?
We're midweek now. We talked about the weekend last week.
That's right. How was your week this time?
So my week's been pretty crazy. Got a lot of news in the NFL, a lot of news in sports in general. World Series has started, so first off, let's talk about that. Right now in the series is even up, one apiece. They are playing another game tonight as we're recording in a couple hours. So some news about the World Series is Tampa Bay Rays first baseman Ji-Man Choi just became the first Korean-born player to record a hit in the series, or in the World Series in general. So some records right there. His ball has been sent to Cooperstown, New York, for a little display piece on that issue. Some other big news in the NFL happened today while we're recording. Before we record this, defensive end Yannick Ngakwe has been traded again this season, being traded from the Vikings to Baltimore Ravens. And the Ravens were not done there with adding talent. They also have added to the practice squad Dez Bryant. So Ravens are going for broke this year. They are eyeing the Super Bowl over in Tampa Bay. Other news is in the NFL, Raiders offensive line all tested positive, and Jonathan Abrams, their safety, has been deemed high risk, and they're all been placed on the COVID list right now. NFL news also had switched up some matchups for this Sunday's October 25th matchup. So Sunday night football has been changed to Bucks Raiders instead of the Seahawks Cardinals. Never mind. I'm sorry. I misread my
I'm gonna say, are
news.
they already playing the Cardinals?
Seahawks Cardinals are playing Sunday night football. Bucks Raiders have moved to the afternoon slot.
Ah, I see.
Other news is for the Warriors. Getting closer to draft night. They had worked out Denny Advija.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
And there has been a member of the organization that leaked out saying they are blown away with the meeting.
With the European kid?
Yes.
Ooh. Have they worked out anyone else? Do you know? Is there?
Nothing that I have read about. Um, then we also have the Pelicans' new head coach, something that we never guessed.
No.
Stan Van Gundy is now the new head coach for the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm gonna say Patriots. I don't know why, but let's move on to our discussions for today. Micah, this probably hits close to you, being from the same state. Tua has been named starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins entering Week 8. I want to say
7 or
Week 7.
yeah, 7. Yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
yeah, let's talk about that.
didn't we have like this conversation like a week ago? It was like who like
Yeah,
will he come? And
yeah.
I think I said early, but yeah, I'm very proud of his hard work. And I mean, it sucks for Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, he bona fide stud at quarterback, but I think it's time to let the new kid on the block actually get in and get some reps. I mean, you seen last game from a blowout. He played the last 2 minutes and was pretty good. I mean, even though he had that one play to scramble out of the pocket, he did get the pass off, which I was very impressed with. For Tua, I think just he's super calm and he's just into the game. Like he's so focused into the game, and I think that's going to be his one benefit when going into his first starting um, weekend. Um,
Hmm.
and I think just personally, I think you should switch out between Ryan and Tua. I mean, yeah, I get have Tua have the develop the cadence and be able to run the plays, but also have that veteran switch between Ryan and him. We'll see what the Dolphins do this weekend and see how well Tua performs. But yeah, totally proud of him.
Yeah, so I want to go off on that. There is some mingling that executives and some former players of the league saying that they should not have made a switch right now because of Tua being a left-hander with the ball spin. They say that lefties spins a lot different from a righties throw. It may cause mixed functions because of the whole switch
Yeah.
in size of where the player is more dominant on.
Mhm.
Um, then I also want, I don't know if you've seen this, but there's a video circulating from the Dolphins video conference with Ryan Fitzpatrick. It was broadcast yesterday, saying that he was stunned at the fact. I'm gonna play a little bit if you guys could hear this.
I think you can share. Can you?
It's gonna be played off my phone.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Oh man, go to my headphones. I'm sorry about this.
Um, well, like to
Here we go.
continue, I think you have
You
it.
know, and I
Sorry, here we go.
Flo kind of said what he said and said what he said to you guys as well, and that's the decision and the direction that the organization is going in. And obviously, you know, we've talked in the past, me and you guys, about how I'm the placeholder, and this eventually was going to happen. No matter, it was just a matter of kind of when, not if, and um, it still just it broke my heart yesterday, and it's a tough thing for me to hear and to now have to deal with. But I'm going to do my best with it.
Okay, so that was Ryan Fitzpatrick in his interview, midweek interview. I want to kind of also bring up some facts right here. This is stuff that I have read about and talked to people and just looking online and stuff. Um, I don't know if it's a smart move because Fitzpatrick was doing pretty good for the Dolphins this year, posting above 500 record. They actually look decent right now. So they also said because Tua is coming off an injury, they should have groomed him more, like how Kansas City treated Patrick Mahomes with Alex Smith. Alex Smith was given the whole year to play. He knew that he was going to be let go or traded after the season, but wanted to show that veteran leadership to Patrick, which Mahomes was able to put in an MVP season the year later. Uh, Another thing is once they put this switch with Tua, it's kind of tough to go back to Ryan because there's gonna be ups and downs. So we don't know how the season is gonna unfold. We don't know how the doctors trust that his hip is back to 100% or near to it. So it's gonna be interesting to see the rest of the season. Or about halfway through the season now.
Yeah.
So it's a this is something we talked about in the past that this probably was going to happen right now. I projected it probably like week 10
Mm,
if the Dolphins start sucking, but the Dolphins actually surprisingly look,
you're
as I
right.
said, pretty good. Not great, but like relatively decent.
To kind of go back to your point on the switch between a right hand and a left hand spin from a quarterback. Um, and you bring back all the way to Joe Montana and Steve Young. I mean, Steve was a lefty, Joe was a righty, and after watching like multiple or that one interview up with Jerry Rice on how he combated just trying to catch that kind of spin. Um, I think the receivers can make that adjustment as well. They're just gonna have to put in a lot of work with Tua and make sure that the receivers make sure that Tua knows that not all his balls are going to drop or not all his balls they're going to catch because they still have to reacclimate to it. So I think it's a whole team issue rather than just a quarterback switch issue. And just making sure that everyone knows their place and making sure everyone knows this is how we're going to run the play. Tua just needs to do a little bit more refining. I agree with that. The one thing that Fitzpatrick said in his interview that kind of to me is kind of true. Who was their quarterback before Fitzpatrick? Was it Tannehill?
Tannehill, yes.
Yeah. Um, And Fitzpatrick played what, half the season last year?
He played the majority of the season because it was him and Josh Rosen, which is no longer with the team, and Josh Rosen only played I think maybe a game.
Oh, it's raining. Um, um, well, to 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 kind of hark on just his words of him being a replacement. I mean, I think everyone thought that he was just a placeholder until they got into this year's draft. Not entirely sure what direction they were going to go or when the action was actually going to be upheld, not upheld, implemented into their offense when they drafted their quarterback in this year, in this year's draft. But it is a little disheartening to see that a veteran such as Ryan Fitzpatrick being taken over by maybe just a little less than 100% Tua. Um, but I mean, it's the Dolphins organization's decision. If they're trying to hit a new direction with Tua and hopefully just have Ryan Fitzpatrick there as a veteran spot, then by all means, I agree with it. But I mean, it's totally up to them. And it's also up to the team as a whole, not just the coaches, but players as well, to make sure that everyone is on point and not just the quarterback, even though he has the ball 100%, not more than 75% of the time throughout the game. But it takes a whole entire team to help groom their quarterback alongside the coaches and whatnot. Anything else?
No, let's move on to
Let's move on to something that happened this past Sunday with NFL anchors Joe Buck and Troy Aikman during the flyover of the Bucks and Packers game. If you guys don't know what a flyover is, it's basically after the national anthem or towards the end of the national anthem. They ask military personnel to do a jet flyover, a carrier flyover, or a helicopter flyover. And apparently, Joe and Troy did not know that they were being hot mic'd at that point. So I have the video here and what they said. It is on Twitter. I'm going to share it right now.
all right, let's see this. I did not catch this when it happened live, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, you can clearly hear it too. So where is it here? Okay, so you can clearly hear it.
That's a lot of jet fuel just to do a little flyover.
That's your hard-earned money and your tax dollars at work.
That stuff ain't happening with Kamala Biden ticket. I'll tell you that right now, partner.
What was at the end?
Hold on.
Something about Biden?
Yeah, that stuff ain't happening with the Kamala Biden ticket. I'll tell you that right now. I think that was, I mean, obviously the hot mic was there just to, and they didn't know it was on, but I think that was kind of the point of where people noticed that that they were on, because I mean, if you're talking about a presidential candidate and within football, I mean, and you blatantly say it, then I think you're at fault. But obviously, I think it's also whoever's running the mic at that time. But I don't know. What do you think about this situation?
Yeah. Well, the first part when they were saying that's a lot, it's a lot of jet fuel for just a flyover. I always thought that it is just a waste of jet fuel, tax dollars at work. Even though the teams do pay for a lot of money for flyovers, it is still like, oh well, that's the government you're paying for just to do a quick flyover. Even though a lot of people do enjoy this, I know a lot of the games I've been to, like when I see a flyover, it's just a really cool feeling, like just having to fly right over the American flag. Some of my favorite ones, I gotta say, Super Bowl 50 when I was there, and the Blue Angels, like something that I always go see when they're here in the Bay Area for Fleet Week. Seeing them fly over Levi Stadium was pretty cool. Another big game, the Rose Bowl I went to a year ago. They had, I can't remember, it's like the stealth bomber, just like it just, you don't even hear it coming. Like, yeah, sure, this is millions of dollars in a project right there. That jet just flying over, thousands and thousands of dollars for them to pay for it. But it's a cool thing. But when they brought politics, that kind of stepped a line, I feel like, to stop more debate like we are now in our show.
I don't know.
Right now, this election is kind of weird. Like, I feel like the last one was weird. Like, all the other elections, to honest, like, I didn't feel like it was like the end of the war. Like
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are making these past ones
Mhm.
are.
Yeah. I guess they also have. Oh, there was another post on Twitter, but I mean, I guess I mean everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I mean, and a lot of people will take it out of context and just destroy their character for it, and that's what
Yeah,
we're not here for. It was a simple mistake, but in in my mind, I think you're being recorded 100% of the time. You know what I mean? Like when
yeah,
you're a broadcaster, even if you think you're not being recorded, you are being recorded 100% of the time. That goes for athletes as well. But I think for broadcasts, you are the voice of the game during that whatever what 60 minutes of the game, like from Star Spangled Banner all the way to the end, the 4 zeros at the end. You are the voice of that game, and I think it was an honest mistake, but
Mm, it is. I just want to go off, but like as you said, like they're being recorded nearly 24/7. There are faces, they are recognizable faces. They're big media people with a massive following, and we know once you put something online, it never disappears. Like
ever.
at least for these people, like you could probably put it up like 5 seconds, and you probably have 1,000 people screenshot it.
Oh yeah. Or like us, we have the entire news article, and someone posted their Twitter the Twitter clip already. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean Troy Aikman, he was a. I honestly, sounds so disrespectful. Who do you play for?
He played for the Cowboys. He's like a Cowboys legend.
That is why I don't know him.
Only
um,
reason I know is because, well, he's on every week.
but yeah, I mean, everyone's gonna take it out of perspective, and everyone's just gonna destroy destroy the base value of who they are. And I mean, if
Yeah.
they didn't know it's someone in the back's fault. Um, do a better job next week, honestly.
Yeah, it's something the TV crew could also be looked down on because they have the ability to mute them.
Yeah.
As we know, like they mute people are cussing like
Mhm.
from the field, the stands, anywhere, and they muted like within like seconds
Yeah.
because there's always a delay from live to
Oh,
broadcast.
mhm. You know what's funny? I was washing clothes and I was about to hang up my clothes, and I looked up at the sky. And I'm like, that's a fucking rain cloud, and sure enough, it's raining right now. So it
Uh,
was
could we get a live view?
um no, because the light is gonna glare into the camera, and I'll
Ah,
be able to see the
well,
water.
I believe you. So up next, weather with Micah.
So today we're having a low depression to the southeast.
Yes, folks, we have switched. Sports has not been kind to us. We're moving on to weather. Hopefully, you guys like it.
Like our, I don't know what the technical term is called. Anyway,
Weather forecast. So, as you can see here, if I had a green screen behind me, this heat wave out in the Bay Area is going to continue through the weekend, and you're going to see a massive drop coming next week with highs in the 60s.
yeah, it's still hot over there, right?
Yeah, we're having the heat wave right now.
What is it, like 96?
It was 96. It was 90s like a week ago. It's now just in like the high 80s.
That's not bad.
Yeah, but like for like end of October.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, sorry guys. My correction. I thought it was gonna dip. It's gonna dip from Monday and Tuesday, and we're gonna jump back up to the 80s. The following weekend, leading to Halloween weekend.
All right, let's move on to Laker news. So we talked about last week. Well, you guys don't know. We talked about last week, like in before and after the podcast, that um, Chris Paul was one of the ideal targets for the Los Angeles Lakers, and then Rob Pelinka said they had another big name option who went to the other team in LA, who was Kawhi Leonard. Um, Apparently, Kawhi Leonard was Plan A, and then once he signed over to the Clippers, they resorted to Plan B, which ended up winning them an NBA championship. Plan B was, I want to say, who was it? Danny Green. Where are you? Dwight Howard, and I think JaVale McGee, just getting all these all stars that have been to the finals. But I think this coming season, I think CP3 is going to be the number one trade choice or off-season choice for the Los Angeles Lakers.
He's been in talks with them for years.
Oh yeah, and
This is going back to like before he went to the Clippers, like when Kobe ran the league.
and the problem there was former owner of the NBA and commissioner Stern, Robert Stern,
Yes. Vetoed that trade.
David Stern. No,
Is it David Stern or Robert Stern? Okay,
Either way.
I just know it's Stern, Mr. Stern.
Stern. He owned the New Orleans Hornets back then, who turned into the New Orleans Pelicans. So he did not allow CP3 to go to the Lakers, or had partial ownership within New Orleans. So he did not allow Kris to go to the Lakers. Instead, he went to the Clippers, and we all know how that turned out. Also, last podcast we talked about his salary. It's not 68 million. It's about 41 million. I mean, still.
Okay, so we are 25 million short, but still.
I mean, okay, in terms of the contracts, they still have to sign, or they still have to. So KCP, some updates from our last podcast. KCP activated his player option. Avery Bradley activated his player option. So did JaVale McGee. Quinn Cook is on a partial guarantee of $3 million, and $1 million guaranteed, and then
just a little tangent. You saw the video of Quinn Cook being left off the team bus after they won.
was hilarious. It was like,
So,
Quinn, you left Quinn.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but it was just kind of a video. Somebody was doing IG Live, and you could see people took screenshots of Quinn Cook messaging his teammate on IG, like, "Hey, you guys left me. Like, I'm still here at the court." Like, just keeps messaging them, and it was just kind of funny to see that.
Funny. And then Rajon Rondo also went into his player option as well. Some of the others that they're looking for, only 3 unrestricted free agents can be categorized as absolute locks to get above the mid-level exception. Davis, who are replaced for Lakers, Fred VanVleet, and Jeremy Grant. Marcus Morris, Joe Harris, and Davis Bertans play a tier of players who likely will, but only through bird rights with their original teams. Bird rights is basically, oh my God, I can't remember. I remember learning this. They had the paying rights for their player, or no, after every year they have to give them like a certain amount. That I think that I remember that's what bird rights is. And like if no one claims them, then they get that player. Where the hell is CP3 on this? And where is this trade? Okay. Anyway, let's just go into this. Do you think CP3 would actually be a good fit in LA? Let's just go with that.
Yeah, kind of. I'm sorry, I'm not like 100% down, but like I can't really give him a perfect fit right now. Like with what I know about CP3, it's probably your best is with the Lakers with his friend LeBron James. I know they could probably play well together, but CP3 has been moved around a few times already. Like I don't know what's going on. Why is he hasn't found a new home since leaving the Clippers? Michael, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think it's just because how tradable he is and how much money he asks for. So right now in this coming season, Paul is set to make a max salary of $41,358,814. This, if they were to trade for Chris Paul, they would have to they would have to send out 80% in order to make that deal, which would be 33 million and some. Just some 5-man combinations that would come out would be Danny Green, Kuzma, Bradley, McGee, and Cook. That would equal up to 31 million and some. There's also, they could send Caruso and Horton Tucker and their draft picks away as well, which would give them up to 33 million and just above 33.1 million. So, I mean, it's just because how much Chris Paul is owed, I think.
Yeah, that's like the only negative I think because he is owed like superstar money, and he's kind of out of his prime now. I would have to say. People could disagree with me all they want, but
I mean, he's really good, and
yeah. But is he still worth that much money?
oh hell no, not this past contract. I mean, 5 million,
Yeah.
5 years for I think it was like 300 million or something.
I know contracts are like based off what you just done,
Yeah,
but I didn't even think he was worth that much money when he first signed with them, like or signed that extension.
yeah. I don't know. If you can make it to next year without Chris Paul and maybe get him in free agency that way and sign him for something much lower and hopefully have LeBron stay in AD or AD is going to his player option or re-signing. Um, I think that would be the best fit. I don't think signing him or trading him off the rip and losing so many role players that you already have that are already going to listen to LeBron and understand that they are a role player on their team. Um, and I mean, you have two players that like playing with each other. I would like to play with each other, in Chris Paul and James. But I don't know. I don't think this year would be a good year for CP3 to come to the Lakers and for Rob Pelinka and that front office too, and Jenny Buss to Jenny, right? Jenny Buss to
Yeah,
make that.
to just take on that extra money and lose all of these. I know, not superstar players, but these are role players.
Mhm. I mean, they're really good role players. I mean, even though Danny Green
Yeah,
shot in Game 5, I mean, he's a really good role player. So is Kuzma, and so is McGee and Cook. Um, but yeah, I don't think it would be a good financial idea for them to express their interest within Chris Paul, no matter how much LeBron would want him on their team.
okay.
Wow, that was.
Uh,
Any other like big names that you think? I know Giannis is like the the one big name.
yeah, but we know that the Brewers, Milwaukee Bucks, and Giannis's team has said they're not looking for a trade this year. He still has another year under his contract right now.
Yeah.
Like if they're opposed to trade him, this is the best year, so other teams can work out a way to give him that max contract.
Mhm.
But I think both sides are in agreement right now to not do a trade and have him play on his last year and see if things work out to get him that max deal in Milwaukee, or if he wants to go somewhere else, he can go to a new club.
Yeah, and I think I saw that the Heat and the Mavericks and the Warriors are all in favor to make that possible signing in next year. But it's just it's just until time actually tells us. So let's move
Yeah.
on to some old news, not old news, but some recent news that came up after the NBA Lakers won their championship. We're revisiting UFC's Colby Covington and what he had to say against LeBron James after his NBA victory. He says in an interview, wearing a "fuck LeBron" shirt and standing between two women on the beach, went on a tirade and sarcastically congratulated James and his finals victory. And I quote, "Congratulations are in order for my good buddy LeBron James. Congrats, LeBron. Congrats on setting the record for the least watched NBA Finals in history. You wish you could blame it on the pandemic, but everybody's just sick of your woke bigot I think it's either bitch or bigot. I have no clue. And while the NBA ratings are down, USC is up, just like our bank account." He said while promoting my bookie, which I think is a accounting and budgeting app.
Yeah,
So
betting.
I don't know. I can't take this guy seriously. I mean, he's really just shooting shots at other players outside of the UFC. What do you think?
Yeah, it was a kind of a really bad backhanded compliment right there. But there are points that he did make. The NBA did see a really low viewership on the NBA finals, and we've seen other sports outbeat him. Like we just saw the World Series baseball not being like, as everyone said, it's a dying sport. Like not people are watching it. Had higher ratings than James, uh, the Lakers, and like the whole finals. So it's kind of interesting to see that, as we know, basketball is like one of the top rated sports in the U.S. and most watched sports next to the NFL.
Yeah.
So There was points to be made, but that was a kind of a backhanded compliment. Guess it was a big feud between him and James or whoever James is promoting right now.
I mean, everything is stemmed towards Donald Trump's presidency, Black Lives Matter, and that's what I wouldn't say hate. That's what the confrontation is about. I'm trying to find the actual viewership um, of the finals. And one quote says on Monday night, Trump tweeted a Breitbart News article that reported the viewership numbers for Game 6 of the NBA Finals between the Los Angeles Lakers and Miami Heat plunged almost 70% compared to Game 6 of 2019 NBA Finals when the Toronto Raptors ended the Golden State Warriors dynasty. And then it goes to say zero interest. Trump's decision to name check China was far from casual, as on Friday, the country's state broadcaster, CCTV, resumed broadcasting NBA games after a 12-month blackout due to diplomatic incident sparked by pro-Hong Kong protesters, comments made by Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey. Um, the fact. According to the data from Nielsen Media Research, 5.6 million viewers. The figure is preliminary and will be confirmed later this week. Tuned into Game 6. Lakers clinches the record equaling 17th NBA title compared to 18.34 million game from Game 6 last year when the Raptors ended the Warriors dynasty. The NBA Finals from 2019 averaged about 15.1 and 8.76 and an 8.76 rating, while Game 6 on Sunday, 2.1 rating in a 18 to 49 demographic and preliminary figures indicate the audience over the 6 games of the finals made this lowest rated NBA Finals series on record. That's a lot of numbers, per se.
Yeah, you kind of lost me halfway through.
I know. Basically, like, yeah, it's 100% true. But you can't tell me that it is not because no one thought LeBron was going to win the entire thing.
Honestly, that's why I kind of half watched it because I was like, it's gonna be LeBron. Like the only times I came on was when Miami was close.
Mm-hmm. And
Because we did see a lot of blowouts in that game, and people watching blowouts, it just becomes
it doesn't.
background noise or they change channels.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In other sports, like we've seen, like right now, they have been close. Like I'm talking about the baseball games, they have been relatively close. Been like to the last inning. Other than when the Dodgers scored 11 in just one inning.
Ridiculous.
That's probably had low ratings because the game was over by then.
Yeah. I think obviously the narrative for UFC is because no one's there. Dana White has a personal island for his fighters to fight in.
Yeah, that's why everyone's sorry, but that's why everyone's has higher ratings right now because no one's in the stadiums to watch it. So you do lose. I'm just gonna go the lowest amount of stadiums I know is like 30,000 people not attending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and we know basketball's a lot bigger. I think no, smaller. No, I don't know. But we know we just lost tens of thousands of people from watching the game. Now we've thrown them onto the TV, so they'll focus on that. So you just added another few thousand people to viewership.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, even speaking for baseball, I think I would call it a Cinderella story for the LA Dodgers and an underdog story for Tampa Bay, wouldn't you, or no?
Yeah, I won't say Cinderella because Cinderella meaning like, oh, you were a
One out of like whatever.
Bad team or like you're looked down on.
Just like
and
a story coming full circle since they lost in 2017 against the Houston Astros and the Red Sox the following year.
Yeah, I feel like it's the dream coming true almost for them, like something that everyone knows it's possible, but you've just been missing out. Or other ways are in this magical run right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But let's move on to our next topic. I'll let you take the lead because I'm trying to read what we have and I'm like confused.
PK Subban on the NHL social change, The Last Dance, nearly being a Pittsburgh Penguin, and more. The New Jersey Devils defensive defenseman is entering his 12th NFL season and a career that saw him nominated for Norris Trophy 3 times and win it in 2013. But he knows that he is more than a professional hockey player. He's a celebrity engaged in Olympian Lindsey Vonn, who recently said they're pending. I have no idea what that word is in a holding pattern due to COVID-19. He's a philanthropist, and he's also an agent for change and someone who can inspire others. Mostly, I think this article primarily talks about the social change within hockey and the comparison to Black Lives Matter, since we really haven't talked about the issue that hockey has and how little impact Black Lives Matter has within the sport. And to hear it from someone who is of African American descent, um, I think that for hockey, it's time to make a change. Um, I don't know what direction they want to go in order to support all their players, but for just for the initial support of wanting to make sure that every player has an equal lens on them and make sure that every voice is heard, I think some changes are to be made.
Well, I do have some insider fact on the NHL. They have prohibited, at least this is back uh early on, they kind of prohibited the using teams accounts using the hashtag BLM or Black Lives Matters. They're allowed to post whatever, but they couldn't really talk about it. Really, they want to just have the teams focus on the sport rather than political issues, which was kind of weird because you've seen other teams post stuff about it, saying what foundations that you could put money to, or you send money to the foundations that could be used for this cause. So it was kind of tough. Teams couldn't really help the fact or defend players, which were saying like the Sharks couldn't help Kane. I can't remember his first name.
Yeah, I don't remember his first name. His last name is Kane, though.
Yeah. So there is something going on with the NHL that is not really showing them that great. They are a part of that big four like leagues in the U.S. Along with NHL, NBA, MLB. You think of NHL up there with them.
Sorry, can you repeat that last part? I followed that up to the last part. What did you say?
So yeah, it was kind of more just running off. But I was just saying like it's kind of weird to see them as they are part of that big for sports in the states here, and they haven't really done much to promote or even acknowledge this movement going on right now.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I mean, just to kind of keep quoting Subin, um, 4 years ago when I started it in Nashville, I became a resident in the U.S. for the first time in my life in the South. When I got to training camp, this was around the time that San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick was kneeling for the national anthem, and a lot of things were happening. I'm going to a team that's competitive and in the South, trying to win a championship. That's hard enough as it is, let alone trying to attack social issues in communities you're trying to understand because you never played in it. There were a lot of balls up in the air. And I think that's like that was at that time that was like the confusing part, and not knowing what um, was going on, or how, or not what was going on, but how to attack the social injustice within communities without having that backlash. I think that's what has still stemmed up now, because there's still a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of left and rights and extreme left and rights and them defending their place, and I understand that that's totally acceptable. But when it comes to a person's well-being and trying to destroy hate at the same time, I think everyone should be a part of that instead of dividing up one another and saying that one side is better than the other.
Hmm. It is. Oh man, I lost my train of thought right there.
All good. I mean, every time we talk about this topic, it's super hard, and you can see just how frustrated we are with it. Um, just because it's an ongoing topic, it should always be talked about. But at this point, how long until this country is in ruins because of it? You know what I mean?
6 months time.
God damn. All right. With that being said, guys, we do have a guest today. We do have
Hold on, we got one more topic.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. LSU.
Yeah, I added one more thing. LSU just banned Odell Beckham from the team facilities for 2 years due to him giving out free money or giving money to players after the national championship back in January.
He's an idiot, bro.
Yeah,
You-
there is videos of him showing having him with wads of cash, counting them up, giving it to players. The video is mostly of him giving it to Justin Jefferson, which did commit to the NFL draft after that game. Or he said this is going to be his last season. He was going to look to the draft, so we knew that he was leaving. But he is banned from the league. This one was kind of funny to me because I did watch the game. I did see him in the locker room celebrating with the players, giving out stuff to these collegiate athletes, which we know they can't be paid or anything.
I mean, good on him for doing that. I mean, it does bring up another issue that we will always talk about every other day. But come on, Odell. For everyone that's not graduating or going to the draft, come on, Odell. Like, you gotta either take those cameras out or just do it after the game when they're getting on the bus. But it is kind of funny and ironic that he got banned by LSU, obviously the football team that he played for in college. But yeah, just make some better decisions next time, kid. With that being said, guys, we do have a part 2 and we do have a guest today. And before we get to that, we have a sponsor today. No, we don't.
I was like, we do? Oh my god, we're just gonna get paid? Like, I was like, oh man, I don't know how we're gonna keep doing this. Like,
should I pay him? Should I pay him? Should I pay him? No, guys, but we do have another guest here, and that is now. Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to part 2 of this episode. Today, we have another special guest. He is a co-worker of both me and Kris. He's also a fellow sneakerhead. And yeah, we'll let him introduce himself. Let's all welcome Steph.
Going, everybody. Stephane here. Like Micah said, I met both of them at Stanford, being EMs and everything, but kind of bonded with Kris just being in the USF program together, and then Micah, him growing up in Hawaii, and then I have a lot of family in Hawaii, plus both of our interest and love for sneakers. But
so what have you been doing to keep yourself busy during the pandemic?
So like everybody else, just staying at home and then heading into work. Lately, I've been being able to golf a little bit more just because I work at Metropolitan Golf Links in Oakland. Never was a really big golfer until I really got this job and then got a set of clubs and, been trying to go out every single day to hit and get better. And then, grinding on the FIFA train on PS4 right now, waiting for the PS5 to come out. But FIFA came out a couple weeks ago. So, just been playing on Ultimate Team and just racking up those coins on there for me.
So we'll get right into it. You grew up in Clovis, California, kind of in the middle of California, near Fresno. What was it like growing up in Fresno?
So, it was interesting. It's easier for me to say I grew up in Fresno just because originally where I'm from is Clovis. No one really knows what it is. So I guess like the best way that I can put it is like Fresno being Oakland, and then, Clovis being like the richer area of Oakland. Clovis is, pretty much like I would say 95% white. Being one of the only token Japanese dudes in my school, I think there was like probably 3 of us. It was definitely interesting growing up, moving over to Oakland and San Jose. I got a little bit more of a perspective on like, social things that I wasn't really picking up on. Had a little bit more of a conservative view on life over there, but it's just different. It's very slow. A lot of people not really open to change. So I really enjoyed, coming to the Bay Area because everybody was a little bit more open, fast paced, a little bit more carefree about a lot of things. But overall, I mean, it's just different.
What was the sports scene like out in Clovis?
So I mean, Clovis is a little bit more known. Like especially the high school that I went to, like the original Clovis High is like, a lot of like farming families, people who live kind of a little bit east where there's like a lot of farms. So football was really big, like a lot of those tractor pulling guys. So the sports scene overall, I mean, we had a lot of good baseball prospects come out, but I think you're talking more about fan bases, right? Or just whatever.
Players, athletes, fan base, yeah.
So like we're kind of in the middle of California, so we have like a lot of Bay Area fans. A lot of people love the Cowboys over there. I would say it's probably 70 to 30 split in favor of the Giants over the Dodgers for sure. A lot of people love Oakland. Derek Carr coming from Fresno. Originally from Fresno and then moved to Bakersfield. So a lot of those roots are still really embedded in Fresno and Clovis. 49ers, a lot of people love them too, but a lot more Bay Area fans. And personally, for me, basketball, I don't think, in my opinion, is very big here. But if people were going to pick between like the Lakers and the Warriors, for sure, everybody's going to pick the Lakers, just because they had a lot of exhibition games in Fresno before. Like I remember some people I went to high school with would go to those when they come to Fresno. But yeah,
you brought up like that 7:30 split, but for you, if you were to choose north or south for sports wise, who would it be? Like, or what area would it be?
For me, it's like, a little bit dependent on the sport for sure. For baseball, I love the Dodgers, going to win the World Series this year for sure.
Nope.
I'll put my money on it. Hold me to it. Chris has the LA hat behind him. And
I got Tampa Bay right here too. You see it?
But then his big ass Giants wine bottle. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the sport. For baseball, I love the Dodgers. For football, anybody who's helping my fantasy team. But I guess I don't really know how I can categorize the Raiders. Like being from Fresno, going to Fresno State. You love everybody who's come from the university. So follow Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, just like every big name player. Basketball, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of basketball altogether. Like, I'll watch it. I'll, love watching, young players play. I think LaMelo Ball is going to go number 1 overall, but we'll see what happens.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, like I'm kind of all over the place with a lot of sports. So, but for football, definitely who's ever helping my fantasy team.
All right. So you just spoke about going to Fresno State. What kind of experience was that like? And what years were you there again?
Go ahead.
What years were you there again?
So I was there from 2014 to 2018. So right out of high school and just a couple of years ago. But it was interesting, both my parents, my mom she did her undergrad there. She got her master's there. My dad got his master's there as well. So and then both of them have taught there. My mom teaches there still. I've kind of been surrounded by Fresno State basically for the greater part, of my entire life. So it was just kind of a no-brainer to go there, live 15 minutes down the street. My mom had her own private parking spot, so I was carpool with her, never missed a class because we had our own spot.
That must have been nice.
Oh yeah, like I think it wasn't until my junior and senior year when I got like my own car, I bought my own parking permit, so I would have to park separately. But I mean, I had a really good experience, like I said, like growing up basically like on the Fresno State campus. Within the department that I graduated with was actually the one that my mom graduated from as well. So one of the professors that I had who became my mentor, I've known him since I was probably 6 years old, and just like it was really crazy to still be where my mom sitting in the classes that my mom was in, and just overall like I loved it.
Yeah, and then you moved. It says that you worked at Fresno State, correct?
Yeah. So go ahead.
I was just saying. I was just looking at your LinkedIn and stuff.
Okay. Oh yeah. So basically, there's basically like EM work, but we were just more called like game day staff. Pretty much all the same responsibilities. A lot of front work during the games. You just kind of chill. I mean, that's how it was. I mainly worked, I would say, football and baseball. I did a couple volleyballs, and that was just different. But it was very similar to what we do at Stanford and what I do at Santa Clara. But I mean, I would say it's in between like the capacity of what Stanford is and what I did at Santa Clara, just kind of in the sweet spot between the middle of them.
Yeah. What was your favorite sport working when you were at Fresno?
Oof. I mean, I really enjoyed football. Um, I think probably the best player I was able to see when I was working there was Keyshawn Johnson. He actually went to Palo Alto High School, and then I think he got drafted by the Cardinals. So he's being able to. I know he kind of had a good solid year last year with the Cardinals. Hooking up with Kyler Murray, but I really did enjoy football, and like that's why I really loved working at Stanford too. Just being able to experience like the environment of like a proper Division I football team. So.
Yeah, and then after you graduated Fresno State, you went to USF. What was that kind of experience like?
So it was different, going from a public school in a really small town and moving to, quote unquote, the big city of San Francisco and going to a private religious school. Was definitely different. At Fresno State, like I said, both my parents worked there. So one of the things about CSU system schools is if you go to a school that your family member works at or anywhere in the CSU system, you get a tuition decrease. So I think the whole time I was at Fresno State, I probably might have paid under like 5,000 for like all 4 years being there. And then I'm sure Micah, being at Menlo and then Kris being at USF, these schools are not cheap in the Bay Area, and I think that's one of the biggest things.
Thank God my dad was in the military because that VA benefit really did help me.
Yeah, I think that would be probably the biggest thing. But I think also, in another really big positive thing was the fact that the professors, I feel like at USF, nothing about Fresno State not being knowledgeable, but I feel like the USF professors, they've not only done the grunt work, but done the research. They're so like reputable, like within the industry, and I think that's like a really big asset to the USF program. Just like how respected some people are. Like Rasher, he's like a world recognized, economist, and works on all these cases with like having to deal with numbers and the economy and sports, and just everybody there is just so knowledgeable and friendly. Like for me, it was a no-brainer to go there.
Yeah, so I want to go to some of your jobs that you've worked in sports. I'm just gonna go down the line, looking through your LinkedIn. Let's go with the Giants. It looks like you started with Santa Clara in 2018. Can you describe that for me?
So it was good time. For my undergrad, we had to do a semester-long internship. So at Santa Clara, they've kind of had some good ties with, especially within the athletic department and more like the facility and event operations side with Fresno State. So we had to do, a semester-long internship there and kind of got the ropes of how to run like a smaller university campus with athletic events. And, Santa Clara is really known for basketball, putting it out Steve Nash, and then soccer, Brandi Chastain, for, women's U.S. soccer, she's like probably one of the biggest icons in soccer in my opinion, behind Megan Rapinoe. But going there is really interesting. I had a good time. My supervisors, Kris and Kevin actually was in the USF program. I learned a lot from all of them. And I was there as an intern first. And then after, I got a part-time job, basically doing EM work, but having a little bit more of a supervision role. So I think it's like, more like Mike W. in a sense at Stanford, running some of the events for myself. Like I can do all women's volleyball, all swimming events, soccer, and everything else. But overall, I loved it. Santa Clara is a great place.
You started working with the Giants as a ballpark operation intern?
Yeah, so that was, I think, right after I started, right after I graduated at Fresno State, I started ballpark operations internship with the Giants. It was also pre-starting the USF program. Overall, it was a good time. I learned a lot, learned what I like and what I definitely don't like. I think one of my biggest stories that I tell people is on my very last day of my internship, and taking in mind that I started the internship in January, literally the day after my birthday, January 14th, and we ended late October. And through that time, you would expect people to know your name, and maybe I didn't reach out enough to people, but our security manager, who I helped almost every single day, especially on game days, she did not know my name, and that was like a very big letdown. And I'm not just saying that as a Dodgers fan, but like that was just like an interesting time. But I mean, I met a lot of great people, made some really great connections, and I'm never going to say I regretted, working there, but I definitely taught me a lot about the workforce, especially in sports.
Yeah. That's really a lot right there. Then you started at Stanford like right after the Giants season, after you finished that internship. So that's where you met me and Micah.
Mhm.
This is something we've asked all our guests. Like we talked about what's working like at Stanford, but like, can you tell us what is your favorite sport to work with at, and like why?
At Stanford specifically?
Yeah. And I forgot to ask that about Santa Clara too. So if you don't mind talking about that later on.
So at Santa Clara, I really liked working basketball. Pretty much every game, would never be a sellout. The only game every single year that would be a sellout was against Gonzaga. I think our arena sits like close to like maybe 1,000, like 1,500. Like they fill out every single game, and now it's like that's always crazy. I remember one year, who was it? Jerry Rice actually came. I forget where he played, but football for college. But he came because he was an alumni of that school that they played, and he came to the game, and I got to meet him, and that was a crazy experience. At Stanford, I only worked 2 football games. Both were crazy fun. At the end of the day, you get a free pizza, plus food in the middle, breakfast burritos in the morning. But I honestly really enjoyed women's volleyball. Not for the reason you think, but the main reason being, being able to see a national championship caliber team, in action. We got to work whatever the Sweet 16, whatever the tournaments for the Pac-12, and like, or not the Pac-12, but just the NCAA, and that was a crazy experience to me. Being able to see the team that won the national championships, helping run the events for them, it was like, that was a great experience as a whole. So I really enjoyed working like the women's volleyball when I was there.
Just a little note, Jerry Rice went to Mississippi Valley State University.
Okay, yeah, because I remember he came to the game, and like everybody was pretty excited to see him, and he was a really great guy. But I remember, even not as like a huge 49ers fan, but a football fan.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard football and fun in the same sentence ever. Have you, Kris? Football setup and fun.
No. You said you like football games, but you never said you like setup, Micah.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so Fresno State was a little bit different, like compared to Stanford, like they have the huge, like really fucking long list of the stuff that we had to do. And like I remember the first person I was paired up with was with Jordan, and Jordan, he's like go with the flow.
Yeah.
And then I remember one time we finished 2 tasks, and like they were nothing. And then he's like, okay, there's a patch of sun over there. Let me drive the cart, and we're gonna just chill in the sun patch. And I was just like, okay. But I didn't know what we were doing. But
yeah,
it's all the people you meet there, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
There was some of those kids from Menlo that just wanted to get paid, and I understand.
Yeah.
And then you see some people that like finish 10 tacks in like under an hour, and like, okay,
Robbie.
I did not mention anyone by name.
Kevin.
Sorry, Robbie, if you're listening.
Go. It kind of just relating to all your different levels of sports. I mean, you've hit the professional level by going to the San Francisco Giants. Fortunately, I kind of know what you mean about that organization. I worked there too in 2018. You also hit the collegiate level, D1, like upper D1, and then the mid-tier D1s. If you were to pick like a level from probably like in college and going into the professional, which would you like to work for and why?
So, I mean, as of right now, if I would have to pick, it would definitely be college. Working at three very distinct and very different universities has really opened my eyes to, what the college experience is like working in has to offer. Um, like I'm not saying like the Giants put a sour taste or bad taste in my mouth, but like I definitely have seen the advantages of working in a college environment. Um, the kids there are hungry. They want to be there. For them it's the grind because they want to all be on the professional level. As much as I didn't really interact with a lot of players, but it's like I feel like once you get to the professional level, it's like especially if you're working in it, I think or I've seen some people view it as a place or a way to just coast through their career. You just made it. I feel like if you're working in the college atmosphere, you're always going. You're never going to stop. Everybody is grinding it out all together, and like that's something I really enjoy.
I agree 100%. I don't know about you, Chris, but I do like working in the college level only because of just to see where these kids go. I mean, I say kids, even though like about their age. Um, but just, I mean, the professional level it is more of a business. We discussed this before, but like college level, it's so raw and it's so unpredictable. Just not knowing what these kids are going to do with their future and just the excitement that they have while in college. And I do like the college atmosphere. You got
Yeah.
something, Chris, or no? Okay.
No. Just gonna move on to our next topic. Well, we already mentioned all your favorite teams.
hmm
Um, and we talked about you liking the Dodgers over the Bay Area teams. See,
Why is that though? Why do you
yeah,
like the LA baseball over Bay Area baseball?
I mean, so my mom grew up, in San Pedro, which is like a small town, like right next to Long Beach. So like my mom grew up in LA, when they were winning World Series. So basically from then, like I think I really didn't get into baseball probably until like I was in like sixth or seventh grade, and that's when I really just kind of like picked a team. And it's like my mom's team. Some of the teams that my dad supports, I'll follow, but my mom's like really only interest in sport is either like golfing or baseball, and she loves the Dodgers. So from a young age, I was like, okay. Everybody always said I look like my mom, so I was like, okay, I'll ride with it. I'll look like my mom, and I'll like the same team as my mom. So basically, from then on, I was like, okay, let's do it.
You brought up golfing. Obviously, you work at a golf course. Who's your favorite golfer?
Oh, right now, so there's two that I really like for two distinct reasons. One, obviously, Bryson DeChambeau. He won the U.S. Open. He was he was born in Modesto and then moved to Clovis, which is where I went, grew up. And then he went to Clovis East High School, which is actually the school that my dad currently teaches at. And he actually played high school golf with this one guy who my dad and I got some lessons from. So love Bryson just because he's from the valley, and then he uses Cobra, love Cobra, and then I have Cobra clubs. And then the second is Colin Morikawa for multiple reasons. Japanese American from LA. He went to Cal. My girlfriend went to Cal. The golf course, Metropolitan Golf Links, is Cal's home golf course. So, see a lot of Cal players, you never know which one's going to turn pro, try to be nice to them. Maybe one day they'll get you some tickets somewhere, but I love Colin, I always love supporting people, Japanese American, people from my hometown. So both those two guys probably are my favorite.
Nice. Well, let's move on to some most recent sports news and some sports histories. Let's start off first with the NBA. Thoughts for the unfortunate year of this year's Warriors with Clay going down last year, trading Kevin Durant, and
Steph Curry going down.
Steph Curry going down with a wrist injury. What do you think, and how do you think they're going to bounce back this coming year?
I mean, I think you have, three all-time greats with Steph, Clay, and Draymond. Some people might not like Draymond, but him coming from Michigan State, watching him in March Madness, he was a monster, and I still think the three of them have got it. They've built a franchise around those three. I think they have a top 3 pick. I think LaMelo Ball would be a nice asset over there. I think that'd be really, really awesome if they can actually get him. But who knows if everybody wants to deal with the Ball family. But I love watching their show, and I've watched LaMelo when he was in Chino Hills High School, just watching highlights, and basically watched a good amount of his games in Lithuania and when his dad made his rogue league. But I think the Warriors, I think financially they're in a good spot to buy some people and bring a lot of good talent. They have a solid core, so I don't see why they can't pick up where they left off. Not the injury sense, but where they were before the injury.
Yeah.
Interesting you bring up LaMelo and the Warriors. Do you really think he's going to go there?
I mean, because they have the
second pick.
Top 5. Okay, second pick. I think LaMelo Ball is easily a top 3, but I know there has been some rumors that they've been saying that the Pistons are kind of putting all their eggs in that basket, only because the person he's training with they're training out of Detroit. But I personally, watching him, seeing what people say, and watching a lot of in-game stuff, I think he's definitely a top 3 pick for sure.
Interesting.
Okay, Micah, you've been rolling your eyes this whole time.
I've been rolling. I've been laughing, and I've been saying "wow" this entire time. I'm not saying he should go, but I don't think he's a good fit. But if the Pistons want him, yeah, trade for that. I see that. Let's just talk about the recent champions, the NBA champions, the LA Lakers. Did you think that the Lakers are going to win after against this Heat team, or did you see it going the distance? What are your thoughts about this recent championship?
I thought that they were going to win against the Heat for sure. Props to Jimmy Butler and Tyler Herro. They really, I don't want to say gave them a run for their money, because whatever, they only lasted, it was like 6 games, right? So I personally, I would have much rather. I enjoyed the Western Conference Final, a lot more than the NBA Final. I really didn't watch a lot of it, but I watched a lot of highlights, and I felt like whoever was going to come out of the West was going to win, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
100%. Because it used they always used to say the East was always so easy, but I think the East has definitely gotten a lot tougher. But the West, I still think they're probably the strongest conference. In my opinion, wherever Braun goes, that's where it's always just going to be sometimes I think it'll probably be the hardest, but at times, I feel like sometimes some organizations just listen to LeBron and his party too much, where they ship so many people out from whatever opposite conference he's at and moves them to the other one to make it a closer, landing spot for him.
Yeah, I think that's 100%. One of the things that comes up to mind is Iman Shumpert, former teammate of LeBron.
Yeah.
At Cleveland. They were doing he was doing a podcast or a radio interview, and he just said the level of IQ that he has for different players on different scout reports is unreal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's he goes into depth. The video should pop up right now.
It might be his biggest superpower, his ability to get everybody on the same page. It's actually kind of scary. He can explain this game forward and back.
He has a very high IQ, basketball IQ, right?
Wow. Bron's one of them where you'll be we going into Philly tonight. He'd be like, no, but they just hired their new defensive coach, but he was at Georgetown for 3 years, and I played for him one time at camp, and this is how they gonna play us. It's times that you got somebody that's been red hot, and they running it off, and we be yeah, the scouting report says he's yeah, but I let him shoot that because in the left corner, he only shoots 26%.
Wow, he does his study.
He shoots 46% from 3, but he only shoots 26% from the left corner. And you be like, yes, sir.
And it will he just goes into depth and I didn't guard this guy because he shoots 45% for the corner, but he only shoots or he shoots 45% for three, but only shoots 30% from this corner, and then just like how much studying he does, and it's like it's kind of unfair, but it just goes into to show how much he does prepare for each game, and I do
Hmm.
like that about LeBron.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so let's move on to the MLB. The World Series is on, and your team, the Dodgers, are in it. Let's talk about how they moved all the way to this position right now. They won the wild card over the Brewers, 2-0. Then they battled San Diego, and they swept them. And then Atlanta. Atlanta was the tough
Mhm.
one for this club.
Mhm.
Going all the way to Game 7. Yes, they shoved Micah. But what was your? I don't know if you've been following the playoffs or anything. But what was your thoughts making it this far?
So, I mean, the Brewers, I definitely knew the Dodgers were going to take that. Honestly, out of the Braves and the Padres, I was, lack of better words from Harry Potter, petrified of the Padres for sure. You know, Tatis is a monster. Like their whole team was just like on the road. I think they probably like as much as I love the Dodgers, I think they had just as an equal opportunity to be in the World Series. The Braves, that was a different story. I got definitely scared. Going 3-1 down in the series for any team, regardless of how long people have been there, is just like that's a scary thing. But I think the Dodgers bullpen just prevailed. Starting pitching, Mookie Betts. I've no words for him anymore. He's just I cannot even fathom the fact that he got everybody tacos and everything. Going to the World Series now, yeah, he stole home or stole a base and stole a taco for everybody. But I mean, it'll be interesting. Being what is it tied right now, 1-1.
Yes.
So it's just going to be. I think the one thing that the Dodgers, making it to the World Series, 2 years ago and the year before that, it's always just been a bullpen matchup. Dave Roberts, while in the regular season he called some really good games, but I mean playoffs is where it counts, and I think he needs, in my opinion, I think there's some areas that he can do a little bit better about calling who's going to go in. I think it's just going to be down to the bullpens now, but hopefully I'm very confident. I definitely think they'll win tomorrow, and I think if they can just win 2 in a row, I think then it's kind of sold for them.
Hypothetically, if
Okay.
they lose this year, who do they need to add?
Who do they need to add? They need to add another pitcher. Their bench is, deep.
Yeah.
They have so many players who can play every single position. Max Muncy can play everywhere in infield. Chris Taylor can play infield and outfield. Justin Turner, all infield. Kike Hernandez, every position.
Yeah.
I think 2 years ago, Kike played every single position except for a pitcher and catcher.
Which we know
the Dodgers,
he could.
he probably can. But I mean, the Dodgers, they don't need any more position players. They have a lot of depth. Their farm system is, top 5 in all of the MLB farm systems. They definitely just need a pitcher. I think Trevor Bauer would be a really good fit. I'm pretty sure he's from LA because I think they were last night on the live stream. They were saying that he went to like one high school that like Blake Snell and then some other people. Maybe it wasn't Blake Snell, but like a product high school in LA. I think bringing Trevor Bauer would be a really good thing. Just I think starting pitching and maybe another like a bullpen pitcher, but definitely pitching. They don't need any more bats.
No, do you think they need to trade for anybody, like as they did the massive trade for Mookie Betts this offseason? You think they're going to do another big trade to get that pitcher or another superstar player?
Well, I think I can't put anything past them, but
yeah,
I was listening to I was like watching the game last night, and like Joe Buck and John Schultz, they were talking about like the fact that historically, everybody associates the Dodgers with like big money spending, but strategically, like if you look at their lineup, they really only have 2 guys who make, lack of better words, like a fuck ton of money: Clayton Kershaw and Mookie Betts. Everybody else is still like on a rookie deal, or like within their first like 3 years of like professional career like deal. So it's like they have so much money to be able to spend. Like I wouldn't put it past them, but also they have a huge amount of trust, like their farm system. So at the end of the day, like they can get rid of players to get one big signing, but it just comes down to the management picking. Oh, hey, are we going to sacrifice top 5 farm system players who still need some production to just get one solid arm that potentially could win us a World Series? I don't know. It's always up to them, but I mean,
Yeah,
I have
like
my
we
opinion.
just talked about the entire lineup right now. It's pretty much all homegrown players, and they're
Yeah.
still relatively young in their contracts before even arbitration. So it's gonna be interesting to see in a couple of years when these players are up for these big time contracts.
Yeah, well, because like we were talking about Kike, and like I'm pretty sure he's a free agent after this year, like unrestricted. So like as much as like I would hate to see him go, like I think for him, he's in my opinion, I think he's an everyday player. But he's just been a rotation player. He'll come in whenever the pitching changes. But I mean, I'd love to have him back. But I was like talking to my friend Jack, who the USF 11 cohort 49, huge Ace fan. We were actually talking like when Max Muncy hit that grand slam a couple of games ago against the Braves, and like he gets so pissed whenever Max Muncy does something good because the A's released him. And the Dodgers said just like they have this like crazy eye for picking up these random players who no one really like a better words gives a shit about or knows anything about, and makes them into something crazy big. Like who is it? Like they got Chris Taylor when they got rid of one of our like pitchers, Jose De Leon, and like he was a top 3 prospect for the Dodgers, and they bring in Chris Taylor, and I was like, who the fuck is this like country white boy? He's like one of our best players. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy to think about the fact that they have like this like mindset about picking out random people who make a huge difference for the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to clarify, Trevor Bauer is from North Hollywood.
Okay, please. So he was from LA, so
yeah,
close enough. He'd be a good fit. I think he's like a very energetic, outspoken dude. He's just gonna do whatever he feels like he's gonna do.
So let's go back all the way to the beginning of the MLB playoffs. Obviously, you had the Dodgers probably going all the way to the World Series. But ideally, who in the beginning did you have on both the AL and the NL making it to the World Series?
So if it wasn't for the Dodgers and the NL, I always bet my money on the Dodgers. It honestly would have been the Padres from the NL. I think they super young, super talented. I guess their bats kind of cooled down a little bit in the playoffs. Obviously, on the AL side, I think everybody just always wants to see a big team versus a big team. It'd been nice to have battle the Yankees, but the petty asshole inside of me really wanted the Astros. I really wanted the Dodgers to. Granted, if people are going to say it's an asterisk year, get out of here. But I mean, it would have been really awesome to see the Dodgers play against the Astros because I think the Dodgers, in my opinion, deserve that World Series. I think it would just been a really great thing. Granted, I love Dusty Baker, the manager for the Astros, but I mean, there's no room in. I know everybody says, "Oh, people cheat in sports all the time," but not like that. Not like that.
No, yeah, you just brought this topic up. Let's go a little deep dive into this. This didn't really make headlines until like this past off season. What was going through you? Like, what were your feelings when this all came announcement? Like, they cheated for these seasons in the postseason. Having signs being called into the dugout, the full-on trash can incident, and the 2 teams that the Dodgers faced in the World Series both implemented those years. So Houston the first year, then the Red Sox with Alex Cora taking over using a trash can as well.
Yeah, I mean, that World Series, besides the trash can gate of that World Series, the one thing that really stuck out to me was when Yuli Gurriel made fun of, made racist gestures about Yu Darvish, making squinty eyes, about hitting a home run off of him. So that, like, when that comes to mind, that always comes. But with the trash can, when I first heard about it, I thought, oh, I don't know if this is just the Dodgers making an excuse to, say, oh, we should have won. But then to find out that it came from an Astros pitcher, Mike Fiers, who now pitches for the A's, released all that information saying they cheated. So it's pretty interesting to see, like, professional player where people say, oh, they cheat all the time, coming clean and saying, hey, this is what they did. It just like makes me like restores a little bit more faith, professional players who like kind of value like, sportsmanship and stuff like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, if they really do say every team cheats, then I guess that it is what it is. But I don't think in that way.
Yeah. Do you think they should have got a harsher punishment than what they got, which was both managers being suspended for a year, losing draft picks, and paying a lot of money? Do you think they should have had a bigger punishment, or the players should not have even gotten immunity for speaking to them?
Mm-hmm. Well, the punishment only was like, for at least the Astros was getting rid of AJ Hinch and then like their general manager, which I mean, like at the end of the day, like that was like a starting point, but I think they should have got a huge, like a fat fine. I'm not going to say that they should have gotten their playoff privileges revoked or anything like that, but I think a huge fine, like other suspensions for players, like I don't know if they had a bigger role, but there's always like those videos of Jose Altuve basically like people like, I don't know, mouth reading or lip reading saying, oh, don't pull it off or whatever, I have the wire on or something. I think a little bit more harsh punishments basically I would have wanted for, but
Yeah, we did see earlier this offseason, Carlos Beltran lost his job with the Mets because he was part of the team that had this case. So not really much affected the players. It was mostly just management.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because most players had immunity if they spoke on behalf, but you kind of think they should have got punished.
I mean, I think it's at the end of the day, like it's like AJ Hinch, the coach is the boss. You always have to listen to the boss. So if the boss tells you, hey, listen for the trash can means fastball, so swing at the fastball, like you're not going to not do it. But I think there's probably some like alternative ways, like how you said, like pulling away some of their draft picks, like first round picks and stuff like that. But I mean, it's just one of those things I think that they're never going to get right. Everybody's wanting the harshest punishment for even the smallest things. I remember, I don't know how much soccer you guys watch, but there's this goalie, Jordan Pickford, who plays for Everton, and he slid tackle, like he basically tore someone's ACL, one of the best like defenders in the world, and they're saying, oh, the goalie should be suspended for the amount of time that player has been, or he's going to be out for the season with an ACL tear. And it's like, well, you wouldn't be saying that if he was like, the best player, or if he wasn't the best player in the world. You would say, oh, who cares? I think that like for every sport, people are going to like, bitch and moan about every single thing.
That was going to be my question. If like you were the commissioner, what like harsh punishment would you deal actually to the Houston Astros?
I think if there was very much like, defining proof of like that they were actually cheating, I for sure, because like the MLB's, biggest trophy was dependent on them cheating. I think one, asterisk or revoking the World Series for a start, in my opinion. I'm not saying give it to the Dodgers because obviously, the Dodgers didn't win. They did their best to win, whatever, like 6 or 7 games, but I think asterisk or revoking that for sure. I think they did a good job about firing AJ Hinch and their general manager. I think definitely more fines, even for players. Like I said, at the end of the day, like your coach is like a boss. They're going to tell you what to do, and you need to follow it. But your boss isn't going to tell you to go shoot someone. So it's like at the end of the day, you do still have some sort of like say so in what you do. So I think a fine for players would be another thing.
Yeah, I think like my choice, like obviously it was like the asterisks and whatnot, and I mean, it's been like changing every day. Like Chris knows. But now, like right now, I would think like ban the entire club for like 2 seasons. I don't know. That's like the harshest punishment I can think of right now. But
Mhm.
we'll never know if that actually would come to be. So we always like to end off our podcast with guests, with them ranking the top 20 list of professional athletes. In this case, you support California athletes or California teams. So we have a top 20 list of different California professional athletes. So let's just start with number 20 and we'll go down from there.
Okay. So if we're basing it off of, or what are we basing it off of? Just like from like winning, or however I feel like
your opinion.
This is 100% on you. Like how you feel like they should be ranked, or what
there are some legends on here, and depending on where you put them, this will get disrespectful.
Mike is going to get disrespect for anyway. Anyway, you could put Kobe Bryant dead last.
Oh no, Kobe Bryant's probably top 5. Okay. So the way that I'm gonna do it is because I have the list, so I'm gonna like number them off as I go. So it's 20, starting out with 20, right?
Yes.
Okay, 20 for sure. Blake Griffin, great player, but didn't really do anything. Same thing, Chris Paul. He's 19 for sure. No way. Great player still. Done a lot for player empowerment in the NBA. But I just he didn't do enough for the Clippers.
Okay, number 18.
18 will probably be Plunkett. I know, he win a Super Bowl?
He did with the Raiders, and is only Heisman Award winner for Stanford.
Stanford, yeah. But, definitely was not alive for that.
A lot of good names on this list we put out.
I don't even know how you guys expected me to rank all of them.
Micah always picks like the top players, and they're like, oh, you put him there, and you put this guy there. So Micah's going to harsh your list no matter what.
Yeah, I have a harsh list. It's hard for me to even pick like who's going to be on here, and like I can't leave any Laker out without disrespecting someone on like the.
No, yeah, for sure. Well, because the way that I look at it is not only what they've won, but what they've done for the community as a result of them winning.
Yeah, 100%.
So then 17 will probably be LT. He was one of my favorite players, the Chargers, when they were just like crazy good playing on like Madden. I think that year that I forgot what year it was, but Donovan McNabb was on the cover. I love that game. 17 for sure. 16 will probably be Bo Jackson. Sorry, Oakland A's players. 15 will probably be, is this the one that Michael will get mad about, Junior Seau?
Wow, I feel like you got a lot of respect for the Clippers and Chargers right now.
I mean, but what if, what have the Chargers won? Have the Clippers won? Come on, let's be real.
I understand that.
Oh,
a Bo Jackson at 16?
Hey, don't listen to Micah.
Out of all those baseball players,
okay, no, yeah,
or because Bo Jackson's like more for for football, but it's like just stick to one.
That's why I put Raiders.
I guess Kansas City. So 15 there. Kurt Warner did win the Super Bowl. Statistically, Mike Trout is hands down one of the greatest baseball players. But I will probably have to put Mike Trout at 14.
Oh.
What?
Mike Trout's one of my favorite baseball players, so it's kind of harsh that you put.
Don't get me wrong. I just thought that the Dodgers were going to sign him, and I'm salty that they didn't.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he was not going to sign with the Dodgers. If not, he was probably going to sign with Philly. Just go back home.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a great player, but has just never gotten it done. That's like
His club can't even get to the postseason.
no, like that's the craziest thing. Oh,
Number 13. We are getting into the top 10 soon.
13. I will probably do Kurt Warner.
Okay.
Number 12.
13. 14, or this is 12, right?
Yes.
As much as I love Clayton Kershaw, and it hurts me to put him at 12, I'll put him at 12.
Wow.
It's just never, postseason record speaks for itself.
You think
True.
Scary, except game one.
You think he's gonna disrespect Jerry Rice and Joe Montana like that, Chris?
No, not right
Well,
now.
there's a few names that he hasn't even called yet. Like,
Oh, I know my Lakers are in the top 10. Don't worry, I got it.
no, I was not even going there. There's one player that I think he forgot about, unless he's putting him in the top 10.
Who?
Well, let's just go with number 11.
Yeah, let's go 11.
So 12 and then 11. So I think 11 will probably be the late Tony Gwynn. Mr. Padre. He was really good on my Diamond Dynasty on PS4. I'll tell you that.
Number 10, and we get
number 10. From there, I'll probably have to put Wilt.
Okay.
I know he's one of the all-time greats, but I also have to consider I never was able to watch him.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I've heard about people talking about him on other podcasts and what I've read, he was just kind of a dick. Not about that. So that was 10.
Number 9.
Number 9 I will probably put Magic Johnson. I still think he's a great point guard, but I think the other basketball players on here, I think they're still, he's
Except
better.
Colin Blake Griffin.
Yeah, Blake Griffin. Screw that guy. He looks like, I swear, every time I see a picture of him and the Lopez twins, I think he's like the third one. If you actually look at a photo of them, they look like they could be brothers.
Without his hair, like old Blake Griffin.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
So what are we, 8?
8.
We're at 8.
8, I'll put Steph Curry to me will be 8. I still think Joe Montana and Jerry Rice
should be in top 5. I agree.
Are still right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From 8 to 7. 7 on it, it's gonna have to be Shaq.
Okay.
He didn't stay long enough.
Yeah, I agree with that.
6, Joe Montana.
Okay.
While, he was the one who was slinging the balls. Jerry Rice, number 5, was the one who was catching them. And I think he's hands down, not only because I got to meet him, but still one of the, greatest wide receivers to ever play. Ever.
Yeah.
I thought this would be harder. It's actually looking pretty easy for you because I thought this would also be your list as well, like your top 4.
You thought this was what it was going to be?
Yeah. There's no Colby.
I had a difference in the top 10. Not the top 10, the bottom 10, but the top 10 is where I kind of thought too.
So what am I at? 4?
Yeah, we're at 4.
So for 4, I'm gonna do Sandy Coca.
I didn't think that was it.
No, I thought Sandy.
Okay.
3 for sure. 3 will probably be Kareem. He did a lot, but
so 2 and 1. This was
the one. 2 and 1 was probably the hardest one in my mind
Are you gonna go with the kid who built LA or the kid that built baseball for all minorities?
That's like if you think about it, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Both, each of them, has a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
For multiple reasons.
This one was hard. Yeah, this one was hard.
I think the way that I thought of it, like the way that you have to think about it, it's like, when you're a kid,
Mm-hmm.
this will always bring it back. I think I saw this on Twitter, now whenever you have a piece of paper and you're going to throw it away, everybody's not yelling Jackie Robinson, everybody's yelling Kobe. So that's why I'll definitely put Jackie, the late Jackie, at 2, and the late Kobe Bryant at 1 for sure. Just the fact, everything that he's done for the city of LA, both of them. Jackie Robinson on a global scale for people of different ethnic backgrounds, but I think Kobe Bryant, just like what he's done for the city historically, just teaching everybody, as cliche as it is to say, the Mamba mentality of, just like buckling down and like handling your shit, I think he's just brought in I can't say he's brought in so much more because it's so different, but, I was able to watch Kobe, one of my favorite times to watch him was like Christmas Day, that's like, I think everybody's one of the favorite times besides the playoffs, granted, like, when the big three in Boston, who I really loved watching, like KG, The Truth, and Rondo, and Ray Allen, I guess 4. But, when Kobe whooped them one of the first times, it's like you can never help but, like, sit with your mouth open and, like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
But
this was a difficult list to even come up with. Granted, it is all over California, so there is some Bay Area and there are some LA teams and some San Diego teams, but I think this is actually a really good list. Aside from, both me and Kris actually reacted to that Mike Trout, and I was like, wow, you put him at like 14? I thought it would at least be like close to the top 10. I have no clue.
I was expecting like 11 or 12. I was going to put I put Tony Gwynn behind Mike Trout.
But let's just go over it again. Kobe Bean Bryant, number 1. Jackie Robinson, number 2. Number 3 is the captain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Number 4 is Sandy Koufax. Number 5, where are you? Jerry
Rice. Number 6, Joe Montana.
7, 8, Steph Curry. 9, Magic. 10, Wilt Chamberlain. 11, Tony
Gwynn. 12, Clayton Kershaw. 13, Kurt Warner. 14, Mike Trout. 15, Junior Seau. 16,
Bo Jackson. It's number 7, LaDainian Tomlinson. 18, Jim Plunkett, and 19 and 20 is Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. That's
a perfect list, I swear.
That is a perfect list, honestly. This is a total perfect ranking too. Next week we have my buddy coming in, and he's a total LA fan at heart. So I have a separate list for him that doesn't include the Bay Area guys, only from SoCal down. So that's going to be hard for him, but he's a football fanatic, so I'm not really excited to see what he says about basketball. But anything else to say on the podcast before we end this thing today, Steph?
Other than I just hope you guys are all, staying healthy and staying well. Don't take this time with your family for granted. I've been separated from like seeing my family in Fresno and Clovis for a really long time. Haven't seen my family in LA, but just want everybody to be safe and stay healthy, stay humble, and go Dodgers.
With that being said, guys, please subscribe to our channel. We are on YouTube, so please subscribe to our channel. Click the post notification right next to the subscribe button. Like and share this video so more people can see it, as well as comment down below different articles you want us to talk about, as well, possibly, hopefully in the future, different guests that you want us to have on this podcast as well. With that being said, guys, see you guys next time.